Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR, and here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Tuesday the 17th day of March. Here we go. Today I'm going to try to tackle that difficult subject of what's with taking medicines on Pesach, and do all medicines have to be checked? So here goes. So let's get to the basics. First of all, you know that you're not allowed to possess any edible chametz in your possession on Pesach. So that's why you have to sell your Cheerios, etc. Now, when anything in your home has a small mixture of chametz in it, we still treat it as chametz, and it has to be burned, gotten rid of, or sold to a non-Jewish person. That's basics, and you know it. What's considered edible, because that's the kind of stuff that you have to get rid of. Anything that's would be consumed by a dog, that's considered edible, and therefore even something that's a little bit spoiled, but a dog would still eat it, and it has chametz in it, that's the kind of thing that you would have to get rid of. If it's so spoiled that a dog would not even want to consume it, then you're allowed to keep that in your possession because it lost its status as edible chametz, because even a dog is not interested in eating it. Okay, so now that gets us into the medicines, you see. So anything that a dog would eat would be usher to keep. And now I'm ready to tackle medicines. Here goes. So when you have something like a hand lotion, or a cream, or a foot powder, or something of the sort, there can sometimes be a chametz ingredient inside of it, because that's how it, the starches or the whatever, we're not going to get into the chemistry of the matter, but there will sometimes be a chametz mixture inside of the lotion, the powder, or the whatever. So it's kind of common for us to consider that those kinds of things don't have to be sold. In other words, when you look at your area where you're putting away your Cheerios and your macaroni, etc., you don't have to put all your foot powders in there also to be sold to the non-Jew, because, according to a lot of poskim, and that's because they lost their tsura, their form of being chametz or food items. A dog does not would not nibble at your hand cream or anything of the sort, and it's not in the status of the kinds of things that you're not allowed to own. Okay. However, as weird as this is going to sound, but you're not allowed to eat that foot powder or that hand cream. There's a reason why I said it like that, and here goes. You see, if there were, this Gemara's classic, follow me here, this is going to take us to medicines. If you had a charred piece of bread, a charred piece of bread that was so ruined that no one would want to be interested in eating it. So there would be no prohibition on owning that charred piece of bread because no one, including the dog, is interested in eating it. But if you were to want to eat that piece of bread and it's charred and ruined and even a dog is barely interested and you're putting it in your mouth, then you are giving it important halachic status by eating it. I know this sounds crazy, but we're getting to the medicines that don't taste good and a dog wouldn't be interested in eating. That's why we're discussing this. So classically, the Gemara says that watch out for a charred piece of bread that no one's interested in eating. If you were to eat that, you would elevate its status back into chametz by ingesting it, because you just ingested it. So don't say, oh, I did nothing wrong by having that charred piece of bread. The dog wasn't even interested in eating it. But you put it back into the status of chametz when you put it in your mouth. Why am I discussing such crazy things? Because that's exactly where a lot of our medicines fall. The dog has no interest in eating your Motrin or a lot of the medicines that sit on your shelf. They don't taste like food, and he has no interest in eating them. But if you up them to the status of food by having an interest in ingesting them, then you might be giving it the status of food, and that's where the argument comes in. There are some poskim who say that if there's a pill that you're interested in taking and it has chametz in it, the fact that you're interested in ingesting it elevates it back up to the level of the status of food, and therefore you shouldn't be ingesting it because of the chametz, which now has a status of food. Proof is you're interested in swallowing it this Pesach. Therefore, you'll see lists and lists and lists of things that say, watch out, this has a chametz ingredient, and if you're interested in taking it, it's elevated to the status of food, and watch out, you can't have it. There are others who say that no. When there's a pill that has a chametz ingredient inside of it, the fact that I want to take it doesn't mean that I've brought it back up to the level of food. I'm not interested in it as a food item. I want my stomach ache to go away, and that's why I'm just throwing it down my throat so it should get down into my stomach and make my stomach ache go away. But I'm showing no interest in it as a food item. That's why you'll often see debates amongst the rabbis as to whether you've got to carefully check about a medicine before you pop it. Some of them say, I'm not taking it as food. I'm not giving it the status of food. I want it to slide right down my throat into my stomach and make my indigestion go away. So the rabbis debate this, and that's why some books are filled with medicines that say, watch out for this one, it contains chametz, watch out for this one, it contains chametz, and others will tell you, now you don't have to worry about it. The common custom that I'd like to suggest that most of you follow is that any medicine that you see on the lists as having chametz inside of it is something that you should be stringent about in deference to all the opinions of the important rabbis who say that that is to be treated as food if it goes down your throat. And therefore, in short, just in case you lost me on any of these complicated turns, I'm just going to say to you in short, try not to ingest any medicines that are known to have chametz inside of them, and that's why there are lists, and you can look them up on those lists. If there's one that has chametz in it that you absolutely are told that you have to take, speak to a rabbi far in advance so you can make plans about what to do about that medicine. Hope that didn't confuse you. Thanks for logging on. Log on again tomorrow for more. Bye-bye.